Thank you very much for joining me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. You got things to do, so we get right to it. Watching obviously this area here, I want to get into the rain totals. That is my most immediate concern. Jamaica, Cayman Islands, back toward the Yucatan of Mexico, Belize, Honduras, and even Nicaragua. I'm going to cover that. Another spot that may develop off the coast of Africa. Now, I know there's a lot out there about this becoming this massive hurricane. That is not set in stone whatsoever. This is going to develop so very slowly. So with that, the biggest concern in the short term is going to be the amount of rain in parts of the Western Caribbean back into Central America. That is number one. Number two, high uncertainty down the road. It's a wait and see if this even does become a named system. I do believe it will, but still, there's so many variables when you go out in time, 5, 6, 7, 8 days out in time. So I know there's a lot of kind of scary stuff out there. Let's just take it step by step. So you can see already some moisture building, right? As we get back toward the Western Caribbean, Cayman Islands, Jamaica, what I was talking about yesterday, most of the rain down to the south, but starting to clip us even over toward Providencia, San Andres, over toward Roatan, watching out for some heavier rain. We're going to see more and more of this moisture building. On the flip side, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, St. Vincent and Grenadines, Antigua and Barbuda, Anguilla, the rain chances on the lower side. Still a few showers and storms, but most of the action is back here. All right, so let's get into it, and thank you for your patience. I know there's a lot to cover. I try to keep the video shorter, but I just want to give you all the information I'm seeing. So we have this area here. It is going to try to form so slowly. It could become a tropical storm in the Western Caribbean, a little bit more likely once it moves into the Gulf of Mexico. So there is going to be slow development, and it will work its way eventually into the Gulf. Now, this time of year, you also get these fronts up here in the U.S. That kind of zip on down, and that could really change the long-term steering of these systems. So there's no telling if it heads here or back here. It's a wait and see on that, and that is something we'll be fine-tuning once this area does develop. Now, some of the modeling has backed off on the strength of this, and that's one of the things I was just talking about. There's no guarantee with how strong or how large of a system this becomes. The ICON model makes this a tropical storm. The American model is still a hurricane. The European model, either a weak tropical storm or no named storm at all. I'll show you that European model and the Canadian model about a tropical storm. So I do expect development. We'll watch it as it works from the Caribbean into the Gulf. But this is the biggest concern right now, just south of Cuba. Now, anywhere from Jamaica, Cayman Islands, Yucatan of Mexico, Merida, back through Cozumel, Belize, Ladyville, Hopkins, Honduras, over toward Roatan, down through Nicaragua, including our Colombian Islands of Providencia, over toward San Andres. Now, if you could just spread the word, not in an alarming or scary way, but in this sector here, there is going to be on and off really heavy rain at times. Now, it may be just to the west of Jamaica, but it's going to be very close. So I still have a lot of question marks about how much rain we're going to get in Jamaica, since we're going to be on the edge of a lot of it. But where we get the rain, we're talking about some tropical downpours starting this weekend all the way into next week, and that would lead to very dangerous rivers, the flood potential, and we'll be watching out for the mudslide potential. So in this sector, thank you for spreading the word about that higher flood risk we'll have through the weekend into next week, since this thing is just going to be kind of churning out there and just gathering some moisture. Now, the European model, just to break down those models further, has this area move its way into the Bay of Campeche or Western Gulf of Mexico as either a tropical storm or not even a named storm. So just a kind of a sprawly area of rain working its way back into the Gulf of Mexico once we get deeper into next week. Now, the American model has this very similar to yesterday, kind of moving up eventually toward the northern Gulf and strengthening into a hurricane and getting caught up in one of those fronts and just kind of zooming up to the north. We'll see if that happens. That's not a guarantee. Now, this model has a similar scenario as a whole. The Canadian has a kind of lifting up to the north and eventually becoming a tropical storm and getting tied into that front that will approach the southeast U.S. And we swing to the ICON model, like the European model, has it kind of working its way back into the western Gulf of Mexico as a tropical storm. So we'll see what happens. This would be 5, 6, 7, even 8 days away, depending on how this thing evolves. But the short term, let's get into that. And then I'm going to zoom down closer, and then I want to go island by island, country by country with those rain totals. So we get a look at this area today. We're going to see the rain and storms starting to build. We're not talking about all day rain. Even this weekend, it's not all day. I showed you that map before. We're talking about on and off areas of rain, but you just see how it builds. The American model showing that, and actually all the models really showing this in the short term. The rain building from Jamaica back toward Belize may clip us a little bit, Haiti and the Dominican Republic, but for the most part, This stays off to the west. In Cuba, I am watching Cuba carefully, but for the most part, at least the next couple of days, most of the rain stays just to the south. This is by Monday, so as we go through the weekend into Monday, jumping ahead, I'll slow it down in a moment. Now let's get into the middle of the upcoming week and stop it here. So from this weekend into Monday, days of rain, and then you still see some of the rain around on Wednesday over toward the Yucatan, western Cuba, Belize, even Guatemala and El Salvador, some increased rain through Honduras. But this is when it will start to try to develop. All the models have it trying to develop as it lifts into the Gulf of Mexico Tuesday into Wednesday. And then at that point, the American model has this becoming a tropical storm and then a hurricane and then lifting up into the Gulf. And you see the front right there. This front kind of helps grab it and allows it to go more to the north, while some of the other models say, hey, this front is going to move by and this area is just going to kind of continue to work its way off toward the west. So that's just one scenario. But the short term, all that rain building down here. Now, when we look at Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, we could have a tropical storm developing nearby. If it starts to develop a little bit sooner, say on Monday, we could have some tropical storm conditions, Cayman Islands in particular. Let me show that to you here. This is based on the American model, kilometers an hour and miles per hour to keep everyone covered. I do this channel for safety, so putting both on there. You see by Monday, the winds aren't crazy or anything like that. Of course, if we get some rain, you're going to get some gusty winds, but nothing out of the ordinary. But once we get into Tuesday and then Wednesday, the winds start to build right near the Cayman Islands, even back toward the Yucatan of Mexico. Some of the gusts here, that white shading, 80 kilometers an hour or 50 miles per hour. That's telling me we're going to start to get some organization. And if this happens, we'll have some tropical storm conditions possible, say over toward Grand Cayman as we work our way into Tuesday and Wednesday. And then this is the American model, so it kind of lifts it up to the north as a strong tropical storm or a hurricane into the northern Gulf by the time we get into Thursday. So this would be Thursday. And now we've seen it a few days ago. It looked like it was going to be over here. It's going to switch around. I need to see something form first. Once the area starts to form, say on Sunday and Monday, then I'll be able to know exactly kind of where it's going to go and how strong it's going to get. Now, the European model shows a similar scenario in the short term, and the rain being the biggest concern. So here's Cuba, Cayman Islands, Jamaica, Belize, just to set the map. Puerto Rico, Trinidad and Tobago right here, Haiti, Dominican Republic, and this is going out in time. Let me stop the clock here. This is on Sunday, and you see the extra green around, so some of the rain, but not a named system. Some of the rain kind of filtering it at times into Jamaica, Cayman Islands, and then back toward Central America. And since we'll see rounds of it, that's why some of us are going to get flooding. If you get the repeat tropical downpours, we're going to get some flooding in some locations. And then as we go forward, this here is by Tuesday. On Tuesday, look at all this green building in here. Even more rain. And on Tuesday, that's when this area starts to kind of gradually work its way toward the northwest. Over toward the Yucatan and Central America, even more rain. Costa Rica and Panama, it is going to pick up too. It'll at least be enhanced while most of the action is to the north. But then the European model, unlike the American model, says, hey, that front will move by. This will stay kind of weak, so it'll trend off toward the west. By the end of next week, and this here is into next weekend, there's a spin over here in the Bay of Campeche in western Gulf of Mexico, and it's not a hurricane, maybe not even a tropical storm, but it's what the European model has, just kind of a sloppy system in here. Now, after this, could it develop? But we're talking over a week away, so let's see. But you can see, again, the European model just brings a lot of rain a little bit more to the west. The American model kind of brings it more to the north. But in the short term, the rain is going to sit in some of the same spots day after day. So let me zoom down. Now, here's a look at Jamaica. So you have Montego Bay, get over toward Falmouth, Kingston, Morant Bay, Treasure Beach. You see some of the white showing up and some of the black. That would be a 5-day rain total of 100 to 150 millimeters of rain, or 4 to about 6 inches of rain. Now, a lot of it could be just to the south. I mentioned I'm not sure for us in Jamaica. I'm more certain that we're going to get a lot of rain in the Cayman Islands. Jamaica, we're going to be on the edge of it, but this big batch of moisture, it wouldn't take much to kind of put it on top of us. That's why I do appreciate you spreading the word, because if this just kind of develops a little bit closer to Jamaica, that's going to give us a better chance of higher rain totals. So we're kind of on the edge of it, which doesn't give me comfort, because again, if this is on top of us, we're going to get some really heavy totals. But we get back toward the Cayman Islands, especially as we get toward Grand Cayman and get over toward the east end, we're going to see some higher totals. I do expect for a 5-day rain total over 100 millimeters of rain or 4 inches of rain. It could actually be more. It's just going to depend on where some of this rain sets up, where we get the repeat rain. So prep for some flood potential in the Cayman Islands as we go over the next several days. Not quite yet, but once we get into the weekend and early next week. And then the moisture gets thrown back toward parts of Central America. Here's a closer look as you get toward northern Honduras and over toward Belize. Here's Belize City. Here's Orange Walk, for example. You get back toward Big Creek. We're having some colors here. This red shading would be about 200 millimeters of some rain, and that would be about 8 inches of rain. That's a possibility for a 5-day rain total. So in Belize, just a heads up, and Honduras, we need to think about, hey, if we get round after round of, say, 3-4 days of some substantial rain, what does that mean for me, where I live, getting out and about and that sort of thing, because flooding will be a threat. And here's the bigger picture. This includes much of Honduras back through Nicaragua. Now, these brighter colors that are really popping off the chart, most of this will be over water. Again, this is a 5-day rain total, so this is not all at once. But I did mention Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Guatemala, El Salvador. That rain is going to be enhanced, and then we'll just see how much kind of works in toward the Yucatan, over toward Cozumel, and over toward Cancun. So here's the smaller picture, a little bit slower for the rain. So here's Honduras, you get toward Belize, and you can see today we're going to see that moisture building. Spotty shower storm, Montserrat down through St. Kitts and Nevis, all the way down through St. Vincent the Grenadines and Grenada. Then tomorrow, see the moisture kind of building. Panama, Costa Rica, getting some heavy areas of rain. Here's that heavy rain on the eastern Pacific side. No development though, but here's that rain, just kind of a surge of moisture that will be around, and then even more colors. And where do you see these brighter colors? That's telling me we'll have heavy pockets of rain. So on Sunday, that's when it's a little bit more likely, Cayman Islands and Jamaica, for some of this rain started for it to start to move in. So Sunday, that rain chance will really increase. Of course, Honduras, Nicaragua, on and off already at this point, and then back toward Belize. And then after Sunday, that's when a lot of this moisture will kind of get thrown back more toward the northwest. We'll see if it's a little bit more to the west, like the European model, or more to the north and getting closer to Cuba, but a lot more green on the map right here by the time we get into Monday. And that's why I mentioned I appreciate you spreading the word, not in a scary way, just about the potential flood threat, because some of us we're going to be dealing with this for a few days, Sunday, Monday, and then even into Tuesday, as this area will continue to work its way back into this direction. So we've got a lot of rain coming for some of us. It's going to be hard to pinpoint because it's not one big blob of rain. It's going to be broken in spots. All right, so that kind of takes care of that. I hope I did my best to keep you covered, give you the heads up with what's going on there. And then another spot, we're going to see a strong tropical wave come off the coast of Africa. A lot of the models are trying to develop it. Hard to tell where that'll go because it's not even off yet. Early indications are that it may be north enough in latitude to hopefully make a curve. So let me just take you out in time. So here we are in Dominica, for example, Martinique right here, Barbados, St. Lucia. You can see this strong tropical wave there and then starting to spin. Now, a lot of the models have been trying to develop stuff, and this season that hasn't panned out. So that's why I mentioned the system even in the Caribbean. It's not necessarily going to be a named system. We're going to wait on that. Same thing with this. I've seen this many times this season where the American model, a week out in time, shows something becoming a hurricane and then it doesn't. There's been that dry air that's been aloft. But I do want to point out that at the least, that is going to be a strong tropical wave that's going to come off the coast of Africa in a few days. And I do expect some development as we get into next week. Here's meters, here's feet. Watching the seas building, not yet because there's nothing organized. So Gulf of Mexico, we're okay. Back through the Caribbean, aside if you're dealing with some rain. Of course, if you're in a vessel dealing with the rain, that's a whole different story. But once we get into Monday, this is Monday, we get a hint of the seas building, and then you could see things getting definitely choppy to rough in the Western Caribbean once we work our way into Tuesday, and then that area will kind of shift into the Gulf, and then the Gulf will get a whole lot choppier and rougher as we work our way deeper into next week. Now, this stuff up here, Atlantic region to Canada, I've been watching the rain over toward Cape Cod too, not tropical in nature, but there's going to be kind of an unsettled pattern in through here. This is Saturday. Newfoundland, scattered showers, but not seeing anything in the way of something tropical. Bermuda, we're going to have a chance of some batches of rain. We'll see how kind of some of this will rotate around this year's by the time we get into Sunday. So for Jamaica, look how our rain chance bumps up 30% today. But on Sunday, we're up to a 70% chance of rain and storms. And you see Cayman Islands Sunday up to a 60% chance. Monday, it's going to be even higher, more like an 80% chance on Monday, on and off. Trinidad and Tobago, we're looking at about a 30% chance of isolated showers or an isolated passing thunderstorm. In Barbados, the next 2 days, you see that rain chance is not as high. Same thing in St. Lucia, a very limited chance of rain. Eastern Caribbean, not a ton of action. Grenada, rain chance 20% the next 2 days and a 20 to 30% chance over the next 2 days, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And we do that again, 20% chance the next 2 days in Martinique, and that generally holds for Dominica, 30% chance of a shower on Sunday. As you may be headed out to church, Guadeloupe, 20 to 30% chance. So in the Eastern Caribbean, watching kind of what's coming off the coast of Africa, but the short term, some passing showers. Antigua and Barbuda, 40% chance for tomorrow. In the next few days, St. Kitts, Nevis, and Montserrat, isolated or scattered shower moving by. Not all day in Guilan, St. Bart's, 30% chance of a shower, 20% chance on Sunday. And we do that again as we swing back towards St. Martin, Saba, and Statia. Now, isolated stuff. Isolated showers and storms will be possible again to scattered as we work our way back through Puerto Rico. With the daytime heating, though, we may get a strong one in Puerto Rico, so there could be isolated pockets of flooding. Rain chance 20 to 30%. U.S. and British Virgin Islands, Bahamas, some scattered showers possible, 40 to 50% chance through the weekend, 20 to 30% chance Turks and Caicos, about a 20% chance in the Dominican Republic, a very isolated chance of a shower in Haiti. I'll see how some of this moisture near Jamaica, how close it gets over toward the south side by Boston Blue and Jacmel. Belize, though, there we go on Sunday. That rain chance starts to shoot up, and again, even more Monday, Tuesday, into Wednesday of next week. While in Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire, rain chance about 10 to 20% right through the weekend. Rain chance stays kind of small in Guyana now, about a 30% chance. Mainly dry as we work our way into Suriname. Rain chance 30 to 40% in Cuba. Watching western Cuba to see how this area evolves. Costa Rica and Panama, there's the elevated chance of rain. There will be pockets of flooding this weekend into early next week in Nicaragua. That rain chance is going to be making the climb. Watching out for that flood potential. And in Honduras on Sunday, rain chance at about 70%. And seeing that 70% chance Guatemala and El Salvador. Watching those rivers. 30 to 40% chance in Mexico City, rain chance has gone down, 40 to 50% chance in the Yucatan, but it gets higher Sunday into next week with this slowly developing system nearby. Northern Colombia picking up a touch too through the weekend, 50% chance, 20 to 30% chance in northern Venezuela, and watching how some of these showers kind of filter around Bermuda. So yeah, really busy pattern, which is typical for late September. So the flood threat this weekend really starts to kick off into next week, a super slow developing area, which will eventually enter the Gulf of Mexico. It is likely to become a tropical storm or hurricane, but it is not a guarantee. Nothing's even developed as of yet, and we've seen that pattern this season. So I just want to take it day by day, storm by storm. So thank you for the comments. I'll go throughout those throughout the day. Please be safe. Thanks for getting the word out about some of that potential flooding. Have a good rest of your day.